Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of Murphy's Market Minute with Elliot Omenson.
And Nathaniel Vossman.
Coming at you Thursday, the 22nd, 2025. We're approaching Memorial Day weekend. I think you guys are going to get this on Friday. And, that's a pretty special time, I think, in our country where we recognize those that have lost their lives in duty and service to the nation. So, and I will tell you as a combat vet that has friends that have been lost, I love the fact that people celebrating it, partying, and out on the lake and getting drunk and eating barbecue. So rock on. Do all that in the name of the veterans we've lost because they'll appreciate it.
Damn right.
All right. Now, as always lately, it seems like it's a wild and crazy time. The markets have been pretty solid this week. We had 2 days down. Today they're back up again. I'll just do a quick recap before I let Nathaniel jump in here with some information. So year to date, the S&P is down 0.25, but for a rolling 12 months, it's up 10.55. The Dow year to date is down 1.18 still, but the rolling 12 months, it's up 5.98. And the NASDAQ year to date is down 1.34, but on the rolling 12 months, it's up 13.39. Now, some of the things that you've seen happen this week, you want to get into any of those, Nathaniel?
Yeah. So I think probably the catalyst of what has happened this week is that rating downgrade. I believe that was probably last Friday. I think it was 16th, if I'm not mistaken.
Good old Moody's, the very last holdout giving U.S. bonds or treasuries a AAA rating, is thrown in the towel.
Yeah, so Moody's dropped that, on the 16th. There's two other credit rating agencies, Fitch and Standard & Poor's. And they both did it a while ago. So Fitch did it in 2023 and Standard & Poor's did it in 2011. So the fact that now Moody's dropping it really doesn't really mean that much because they're all dropping for the same reason. So it's really just a technicality that they're dropping from AAA down to it's a AA1. So that doesn't really matter a whole lot. I think the thing that had a bigger impact on the market itself is I know Wednesday there was an auction for 20-year Treasury bonds.
Yes. And didn't nobody bought them, and they all went and bought bonds from Zimbabwe instead, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So pretty much the yield on that ended up being pretty high, just because these big institutions like basically put their bid on, say like what the lowest rate they're willing to take, and I think it ended up being pretty high. Let's see. I think it was a little bit over 5.
Yeah.
And that drove the 30-year yield up over 5. I think the 10-year yield is at its highest since 2023. And so all that is kind of what's made the markets tank yesterday, midday.
That was the second day they were down, right?
Yeah, I think they might have been down a little bit Tuesday, but yesterday they took a big hit because they were up, and then I think they finished down almost 2 points.
Yeah.
Pretty hefty drop. And it's because of that, when yields rise, people can put their money there safely. Everything gets more expensive to borrow.
Yeah.
So it's just, not necessarily a good thing for stocks. But we're back up a little bit.
But I do believe, like I've always thought that, when I got into this industry 10 years ago, yields were so low, and they had been all the way up until just the last few years, that one of the key components of a financial plan for retiree, income investments, which is another word for bonds and things like that, things that produce a yield, were so low it just didn't make any sense to hold it. And so I've always felt like yields need to be higher in order for people in retirement to have a balanced portfolio between equities and bonds. So, I mean, I don't know that it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Like I said, it's about the same as what we saw
Just a
past
couple
couple
years
years.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really hadn't really dropped much over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's just technically the highest since I think November 2023.
Yeah.
So, and that's just what caused the market to drop. Like I said, we're back up today, a pretty hefty chunk. I think we're like up like 0.8 of a point maybe.
Yeah, we were just a second ago. The NASDAQ.
No, I take that back.
NASDAQ's up 0.93. S&P.
S&P is up.
Well, mine says 0.48, but
mine says 0.34.
It's changing pretty rapidly, and the Dow is up 0.4. But yeah, and we had some. We have a softening labor market, I think. Unemployment claims have ticked up a notch. Nothing all that significant. Well, and then so what do you think was the catalyst for the climb today?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I think probably mostly just a rebound from yesterday, but
I think so as well. A lot of people are attributing it to the big beautiful bill.
Yes,
if you're like most of our clients, you would know it as the big beautiful tax bill. If you're like some of our clients, you would know it as one of the worst pieces of legislation ever passed with no bipartisan support.
Yeah, so that could be it. I mean, I know the market's kind of opened down from what they closed yesterday, but throughout the day they've gone up. So maybe the sentiment there is not too bad. I do think that had a role into why the U.S. credit was downgraded this week.
Yeah, I found that to be pretty funny.
Was because of that, just because they had to raise the debt ceiling for that. I think it's they're projecting over the course of 10 years us to run up a deficit of $3.1 trillion net.
Yeah, because
of it. But most of those end up coming. A lot of that comes from just the existing tax code that we have in place.
Yeah,
and just by not reversing back to what it was pre-2017.
Yeah, so here's a couple things just along these lines, and this maybe really isn't Murphy's Market Minute material, but I was researching stuff for something else I was doing for a book I'm writing. And in 1978, which I know is a goofy number, the reason I picked it is because that's the year in which the tax code was overhauled, the 401k was introduced. U.S. federal debt stood at $771 billion, which is less than half of our annual deficit today. Yeah. The entire federal debt was less than half of what it was today.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. The other thing I looked up is how much would you have to, without cutting it, because nobody wants to cut anything that the federal government does. Everybody has a reason why any cut is going to be the end of the world. So forget cutting taxes. Let's just increase them. And so one of the things I looked at is you would have to increase taxes to 68 to 80% on every single person with $1 million or more in America. Just to get rid of the debt over a 20-year. I don't even think you'd get rid of it, but to try and I think you'd be able to bring. If you increase tax, what it was is if you increase taxes on people making $1 million or more to 68 to 80% over a 20-year period of time, you could reduce the federal deficit. Right now, we're at 128% of our GDP. You would be able to bring it down to 80%, the federal debt down to 80% of the GDP by taxing 68 to 80% of every single person in America making $1 million or more.
Yeah, we see how long people stay in that case.
Just to and so that's what I find really interesting is just I don't know at what point it becomes a problem because it wasn't a problem at $771 billion. It wasn't a problem after Bush at $10 trillion. It wasn't a problem after Obama at $22 trillion. It's what now are we 34 to 37 trillion?
Between 36, 37, yeah.
Yeah. And you would think it has to become a problem at some point. I don't know at what point that happens.
Who the hell knows?
But literally no one's really willing to do anything about it. So, anyways, on that doomy, gloomy note,
any good news to see coming up?
Yeah. I think back to the good news of the previous couple weeks, right? The market went through its adjustment with the tariffs. Trade deals are going to be trickling through. We're still in the middle of the 90-day pause with China. So far with the labor market softening, mortgage rates rising, yields rising, the dollar's weakening too, by the way. It's underperforming like the 10 other major whatevers. But even that, when I looked into that, it's like nobody can. This is one of the things that I find really interesting. Maybe you could speak to this. And here I'm gonna pull this up because I just thought it was really interesting, right? So if you research how does a declining dollar affect the economy? Okay. It'll, under positive effects, boost exports. A weaker dollar makes U.S. goods and services cheaper for foreign buyers, increasing demand for American exports. This can stimulate growth and export different industries like manufacturing, agriculture, and technology. Supports domestic industries. Cheaper U.S. goods can encourage domestic consumption of locally produced products as imported goods become relatively more expensive. It can attract foreign investments. It can reduce trade deficits. Okay. And then you go on and you read the negatives of it, and it's all like just flipping that all around. It's all the same thing. It's like consumer impact, everyday goods become pricier, squeezing household budgets. Export-oriented businesses benefit while import-heavy industries face higher costs.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it's just like sometimes I think some of these things are so complex. There's so many moving pieces. Experts have to pick and choose what they're going to focus on, and because nobody can really give you a contextual full picture of what's going to happen and how it's going to impact anything.
Well, and with everything Trump's doing, it's no surprise that dollar would weaken because like he's wanting to build some manufacturing here, and that's just when you're trying to boost your exports.
Yeah, you need the dollar to go down.
Dollar's going to weaken.
Yeah.
So not such a bad thing. And then on another bright note, I'm not sure how many of your clients are in crypto, but Bitcoin is at a new all-time high.
Yes. 111? 114?
Yeah, well, not 114 yet, but Bitcoin is getting near 112 right now. In fact, I don't think it's hit 112 quite yet at any time, but it's getting real close. So Bitcoin's up. The other big ones like Ethereum is up pretty good.
Yeah,
So we'll
XRP. Yeah, I don't think very many people do. We do have some. And so for those few.
Those few, doing pretty well there.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, all right. So pretty much, I think everything's just kind of status quo. I think things are going to continually improve in the market. I think the economy is still solid and strong. And this weekend's Memorial Day weekend. So pour one out for your homies.
Amen.
And have a good time. Until next week, this is Elliot.
Nathaniel.
Signing off.